everyone, and welcome to Dragons, Gazelles, and Unicorns podcast. I'm Rosemary Truman, founder and CEO of the Center for Advanced Innovation, and I'm also the founder and CEO of Ignite Social Impact. Today is Juneteenth Day, Freedom Day. It was the first ever. It was made Juneteenth Day as of June 15th, 2021, 3 days ago. So this is a inaugural holiday, Freedom Day. And I'm here to welcome Brandon Hunter from ROUGE on the podcast. He has a very exciting startup he's going to talk to us about today. So Brandon, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Rosemary. I appreciate it. And thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity to be on here. I look forward to, talking about my journey as an entrepreneur and, everything that we've been working on so far.
So why don't you start out with, give us some background about yourself. You went to West Point, you have some exciting background, and especially with ROUGE.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting background, actually. I'm originally from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. I was born and raised there, and I got the opportunity to attend West Point, based on a conversation through my JROTC director. So I ended up going there. I got through it. It's a rigorous, program. It's a tough school, and I commissioned as an officer and served in the United States Army as a field artillery officer for over 5 years. I deployed to Iraq in 2010 for about 6 months. I came back and I continued to, perform in other roles as an officer before going back to West Point and recruiting for them in a diversity outreach program. And I say that because it gives you a little bit of background that I've always been working behind the scenes to help improve, situations for Black and brown people and students and things like that. And so my journey started there, going there. And once I decided to get out, I ended up going to work at Unilever for about 2 years. I worked as a supply chain analyst and a demand planner. And then I got the opportunity to go work for a startup. And that startup was called Homer Logistics in New York City. And I worked there. Homer Logistics. And so we did
Homer
deliveries in the city for restaurants, and we used Seamless and Grubhub basically to deliver for them. And it was a really good concept, great concept. And it was my first, major role in a startup. And it didn't last long, but I learned a lot of lessons from it. And then after that, I took some time to work on my own concept and other ideas that I had been working on, and ROUGE was one of them. It wasn't called ROUGE at the time, but the name ROUGE means God the Immensity, or Universal God. And we are building an app that allows shoppers to discover unique products and services from minority-owned businesses in our local community. And as our name implies, we're trying to bring people together from many different backgrounds, right, to universally come together and say, hey, we want to support these businesses more often. We want to shop from these businesses, support them, and drive more dollars to their communities. And so ROUGE is really an app that allows you to find those businesses, see and view their products, and purchase them from their web store.
So, just to confirm, so ROUGE means universal God.
Yes. So
wow.
It's a Senegalese word. And so I was, I do have a creative side, I used to draw. I was in art class and everything before I went into the military. So I've always tried to tap back into that. And so when I was looking for something, I wanted to have a strong name, and I wanted to have a meaning, a deep meaning, something that we could all relate to, but also something that would carry me on the journey as I started as an entrepreneur. And growing up in Arkansas, it's part of the Bible Belt. We are religious, but I was also learning and exploring new things in terms of religion and learning new things. And when I stumbled upon ROUGE, it resonated with me in many ways, but most importantly because it kind of brought me back to what I learned growing up in church, which is that there is a universal God, right? There is something omnipotent and bigger than us out there. And I just thought it was a cool name. It was simple. It was 4 letters, right? And I envisioned it, on the wall in my office one day. So that's kind of how it came about.
That's excellent. So ROUGE is a platform where you have minority-owned businesses, and it is addictive. I have been on that platform and put lots of things in my basket. And had to. There's a lot of unique items, and honestly, I've never seen some of those things. And high quality, it's really quite exciting.
Yes, and the high quality of it came from our development team. They're really meticulous, and so they've done a really good job of really just creating a really unique and clean aesthetic for us as we build out the app.
So, how have the businesses that are on the platform, how have they grown?
So, in many cases, we've driven, I think, from just being on the Apple App Store, we have about 5 recorded purchases. We're averaging about 28 users. And so many of the businesses have been able to expand awareness within their local community. So more people are visiting, more people are searching for them now. And many of the businesses that, particularly in Austin and Dallas, many people didn't know about. And so now they're finding out about these businesses and these unique products. I had one person, when they downloaded the app, they found some products in Austin and they ordered the earrings and the jewelry from them to have delivered. And so, and it's unique because those designs were kind of unique in their own way, and they aren't something that you would find at another store. And so people are finding unique products. They're finding things that they like, that they want to wear, and they're purchasing. So I think that the app has proven that it's a need for people to have a platform where they can find those diverse businesses, but it's also proven that it's helping these businesses get more exposure, in their local cities and even in the state, right? So if you're in Austin or if you're in Dallas, people in Houston may see you, right, and they may say, "Hey, I want to order that." And so now you're seeing an increase in engagement, and also the orders and everything for the businesses.
And so, where is ROUGE focused right now in terms of the pulling in the minority-owned companies onto the platform?
Yes, so we started our beachhead market is Texas. And so, when we did our research here, we interviewed business owners, and I've been here for a few years. And so we started in Austin, and technically we started in New York when I was there. So we have 4 cities, 4 of the major cities in Texas. We have New York, DC, and a few other cities that we've been focusing on. But Texas right now is our launch market. And our goal is to, get at least maybe 15,000 businesses registered over the next few years, and grow our user base to 2 to 3 million users.
And how do you make money?
So we're going to make money. We make money in some ways right now through our consulting services, connecting business owners to web developers for their business website. And also right now we're working on our paper ad, which we'll be adding in the next sprint. And basically businesses will be able to pay to promote, their brand, their products on our platform basically. And then the other one is going to be through that we're working on testing out with a few business users is the purchases. So our based on the market pain that we're trying to solve, which is that in 2017, the United States recorded $1.6 trillion in e-commerce sales. And the top 4 states that had the highest concentration of minority businesses received less than 8% of that. So
Mm.
our goal with Roog is to capture $100 million in e-commerce purchases through our app. And so that's where the third revenue channel will come, which will be through those purchases and those immediate purchases through our app for the business owners.
So, what brought you to launch ROUGE, other than your desire to connect, minorities with opportunity?
Yes.
What else brought you to launch ROUGE? How did you find the opportunity?
It was something that I think had been on my mind for a while. When I was living in New York, I got the chance to, when I would walk around the city, find small businesses here and there. Like, it's a big city, tall buildings. And I remember in one case in particular, I met a young lady who had just opened a store that sold beauty products for your skin. So black skin, it was all healthy, organic. And, I spent about $50 or $80 there at the time. And I really liked the store. I liked what she was selling. She's a black woman, and it was really inspiring to see her pursuing her dreams. And I remember going back maybe three months later after I used all the products to get more, and her physical store was closed. And
Oh,
the feeling that I felt when I walked up and saw that, I was just like, wow, like I just had this really good conversation with her, and I actually talked to her about Roog at the time, and she liked the concept. And it just shows you that it's a challenge for many business owners who have talent and can sell these unique products to stay in business.
mhm.
And I think a lot of that does come with funding, but also if it's not from funding, you still have to bring those customers in to keep the business afloat. And so I realized that there were issues and challenges that they were facing based on my observations and my own personal experiences shopping, and wanting to support those unique businesses. So that was my personal experience. Then my professional experience when I was working, to some extent at Unilever, we had some minority brands, but I think at that time there was kind of this, they sold products like Just for Me, which would perm your hair for women. But of
Oh,
course,
really?
yeah, they own that, and a few other products that Black people buy. And I think at the time, over the past 10 years, many women of color have gone natural. And so they don't put a lot of chemicals in there anymore. And so you see that some of the brands that were selling well are starting to lose their value. And then when I went to the startup, spoke to them a few times like, hey, have you ever thought about, doing operations in the Harlem area? There are a lot of Black businesses and minority businesses that could use your service. And they really weren't interested.
Hmm.
And so that's why I saw, not only did I see the pain that's being created because it's not inclusive, but I also saw an opportunity. And so that's when I started to conceptualize and ask around about, what do you think? What do you think of this idea? And a lot of people are like, yeah, I would use that. And so that's basically how ROUGE came about.
So you've been funding it, your platform's up and running, it's roug.co,
So
roug.co.
yes.
So you've been funding this through, I know all kinds of competitions that you've won and everything else. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you've been raising the money?
Yes. So when I first started, I had a little bit of money from working at Unilever, and I put that into the initial phase of building my product. Not sure if that was actually the best idea at the time, but it got me to where I am now. Through that, I've raised funds through friends and family. So with most entrepreneurs, they start off in that round with friends and family, and I've been fortunate enough to have my family help me out along the way. So I would say that they not necessarily invested a lot in ROUGE, but they have invested in me to keep me afloat during a time where it's been a little uncertain in terms of continuous jobs and things like that. My other way of raising funds was that I was connected to a few angel investors. And two of those angel investors, one is Torrey Hunter, who's a former MLB player of the Minnesota Twins. He has been a strong supporter of ROUGE. And then also Derek Lee, who's another retired professional baseball player. And so they were able to, invest in ROUGE, and that helped us get to where we are now. And you see, what you see now is a mobile app in the App Store, and we're releasing the web and the mobile version for everyone in the coming weeks. So friends and family, a few angel investors, and then pitch competitions. So we pitched through the UT Macomb School of Business program. We've received some funding from them. We've pitched at the Founders First Challenge, which is based out of San Diego. We've also pitched for the Scale Challenge, right? And also the Bunker Labs, which we won. We didn't win first place, but we placed second, and we got funding, which helped us continue to build to where we are now. And so we've been entering pitch competitions. We've won some. We've placed in some. We've won funding in some. So the journey has kind of brought me full circle. I know the experience of asking family and friends for money. I had the experience of entering pitch competitions and winning funds, and also going to angel investors. Another investor was a small business called League of Rebels, which is based out of Austin, and it's a men's bespoke clothing company. They tailor your suits from head to toe. And Musa Otto is the owner, and he likes the concept as well and sees the value in it from an e-commerce perspective as he continues to build his brand and his business, which is still traditional in the sense of fittings and things like that, but they have a lot of products that they can sell online as well that are really good and really unique. So those are the investors that we've had so far, people who work in the industry and retail, people who are high net worth in terms of their success over the past, few decades, and friends and family. So those are the three areas that I've been working on to raise funds. And cumulatively so far, we've raised around $135,000 to $140,000. Our goal was to raise 250,000, and so we're still aiming towards that, and we're going to shoot even higher soon as we get ready to do our crowdfunding campaign. which is going to be on ignitesocialimpact.com. And that is something that we're really excited for. Our minimum raise is 10,000, but of course we're going to shoot for the moon to get over 1 million. And so if anyone is interested in learning more about ROUGE, all of our information will be there at ignitesocialimpact.com, and you can register and reserve to invest in ROUGE very soon. Actually, you
Right
can do it.
now, right?
You can do it now, right? Yeah. So actually, you can do that now as you hear the podcast. Check us out, and you can check out our website at roug.co, and all that information is on ignitesocialimpact.com. And we'll be making a few announcements on our social media channels today in the coming weeks, and you'll see more of us pushing to promote that and raise those funds.
Excellent. So ignitesocialimpact.com. Just put that in your memory, or go there right now and check it out. So from your perspective, how has the coronavirus impacted your company?
Wow, that's a really good question, because it has impacted our company in multiple ways. Number one, being part of that group of people who came in contact with the coronavirus, and how it just took you down. I personally experienced it, but there were a few business owners that we have on our app that succumbed to it, actually. And so it was a time of uncertainty with our business owners, because they were still out there trying to work and make money during the pandemic, and we actually lost two of them. And so it was a little sad to have, just to see that it impacted us so closely. But also, the pandemic revealed something that we had been talking about for years, and that's the disparities that small businesses struggle with, and then in particular minority-owned businesses. And so I think that, when we were pitching prior to the pandemic, people were like, "Oh yeah, we hear it. Yeah, it's okay, cool, nice, nice." And then once the pandemic hit, it's like, we need platforms. What do we need to do? We need to help these businesses adapt to this digital revolution that we're going through. And so ROUGE became more important during that time in our mission and what we're trying to do. I would say also a challenge was, one of the challenges though was trying to secure investments, because at the time the economy wasn't doing well. And people were probably a little scared to put their money in things just because they didn't know how long it was going to last. So raising money became a little bit more of a slow process. It was already a challenging process. So it was even more challenging, really just trying to, get the money faster. And we were able to secure some funding. And then one of those fundings through the angel investor we did get. But it definitely had a personal effect on the team, because we lost a few people. It definitely revealed the true pain of small businesses in our economy today. And it just showed us that, I think no matter what, as an entrepreneur, even with the pandemic, you have to be persistent and you have to be able to weather the storm. And I think we were able to do that over the past year and a half, and we're still here.
So did any of the companies that you had on your platform shut down?
Yes, I think one or two shut down, but it wasn't many of them. But I think part of a lot of the businesses that we had on our platform, many of us had already visited, and so I think they were pretty good, in good standing in terms of the traction that they had. They had enough. Some of them shut down, some of them closed down, so some of them may be reopening. But yeah, we didn't have too many closures on businesses that are on the app. There were some that did close in Austin, but we hadn't gotten to them yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning these competitions that you're at, and obviously I know all my travel plans shut down when the closings started to happen. So are you going to these places in person now? Are these events being held in person?
Yeah. Yeah. So now that we are, I have my vaccine, I have the vaccine now. So I feel more comfortable going out, but I've been going to visit businesses. Now that I'm in Dallas, I visited a few. Tender Smokehouse, I visited them and I've had barbecue there. I visited Maker's Gym, which is in Frisco. It's a creative space for people who want to take photos and do video content for their business to use their equipment. I've been to,
Did you call it Maker's Gym?
Yes, it's called Maker's Gym, but it's not an actual
Interesting.
gym where you work out. It's really a place where you can go, do video, film videos and take photos for people and things like that. But it's a really cool spot. And there's a few places here in the area that I am in Oak Cliff where there's so many small Black-owned businesses, soul food. There's one place that I like called J&S Catfish. They have the best catfish here in the area. I'm always there. And it's so funny because when I shared it with my friends, some of my friends who live north, they'll call me and I'm like, hey, where you at? And they're like, I'm here in your area. I'm getting some fish, So, finding those unique, small, family-owned businesses that, they're committed to their business and their craft, whether it's food or, designing jewelry and clothes and things like that. And so I've been visiting recently in North Texas, the downtown Dallas area. I've been out to the Fort Worth area as well, so we're working on that. But my travel schedule is definitely going to be pretty busy this summer. I plan to visit a few other cities as well: Houston, Austin again, New York, DC. So all of those cities I will be in, and I'll be adding more businesses and everything.
Excellent. So if someone wants to get onto your platform, how do they do it?
So if anybody wants to register their business, they can go to roog.co/business. And on that page, you scroll down a little bit and you'll see register your business. When you click on that, all the information we need, you enter it, and then we'll enter it into the back end. We'll be automating that in the coming sprints, but that's the way to register your business to our platform. Sometimes I'll find a business and I'll talk to them in person, and I may just take the information and do it myself. But if you haven't talked to me and you still want to register, go to roog.co/business.
Have you thought about partnering with Guy Fieri?
Not yet, but I may have to. The partnership conversation is something that's coming up a lot more now that we have, a more well-rounded product that we can push out. With the Bunker Labs, I met the DFW Veterans Chamber of Commerce yesterday, so that's a good connection. So we're looking for partnerships with people and entities like that. Guy Fieri, of course, here in Austin, I've been talking to the Young Professional Austin Urban League, and so the Urban League is a large organization that highlights Black entrepreneurs and all the things that are happening within the Black community. So we've been definitely staying in touch with those entities so that we can form those strategic partnerships.
To tell me a little bit more about Urban League.
So Urban League is a community organization, and so they're focused on improving the outcomes of the African American community.
Okay.
They focus on highlighting businesses, events that allow you to get jobs, and just really showcasing the positive outcomes and the things that we're doing in our community. So it's a national organization, but they have different small organizations in different states and cities that you can still participate in. And so my intro into the Austin community was through people through that organization. So that was how we were able to network so quickly, interview business owners. They were really supportive of ROUGE when I was there, and so they've been very helpful. And so I definitely look forward to a stronger partnership even with them in the future as we continue to build.
Have you heard of the Good Foundation?
The Good Foundation, I think I have heard of it, but I'm not that familiar with it.
That's one that I'll need to connect you with.
Definitely.
I will. They are also supporting minority-owned businesses.
Okay.
And highlighting the good things that have been done.
Yes.
So you've been with ROUGE for a long time. You sticking in there through thick and thin. What have been your most significant successes?
So the significant successes that we've had, I think, I'll start off with number one, building and releasing the platform. That was on September 1st of 2020. And that for me was a big success because we went through at least 3 designs before we released the product. And wanting to move fast, but still just trying to build the right, MVP is something I had to kind of be patient with. And so releasing the app, getting downloads, having people respond and tell us what they like and what we could improve on was a big success because they cared enough to even give us that feedback, and they cared enough to download the app. Some of our other successes have been, getting into some of the accelerator programs such as Mass Challenge and also the Scale Challenge, which has been very helpful in getting us to where we are today. And I saw that as a success because we competed with other startups. Some of them had similar concepts, but we made it into the program in spite of that competition. And so it lets me know that people see the potential of what we're doing, and also of our team. And so that was another success. I would say securing funding, whenever we secure funding, whether it's $1,500 or $10,000, to me, that's a success because that's what keeps us going. And I think, right now we're continuing to see people sign up. So seeing people message us on our website and on our social media channels, those are validating moments, and that's success for us because we're continuously wanting to prove that we are here to do what we're to do, but we also need the people to acknowledge that as well. So those are all the things that I look at to determine our success. But right now, excuse me, with our downloads, just on the Apple platform, we've had over 400 downloads. We've had over 2,000 impressions, and we've averaged about 28 to 30 users per month, and I think that's pretty good considering we just launched on that platform initially, and also we have a lot of potential with growing the platform. So I look forward to seeing the coming 6 months to a year what we're able to do.
Brandon, what have been your most significant learnings about what would you recommend to other entrepreneurs that are making their way?
I'm sorry, I had to cough there. You said, so what?
Yeah, I said, what would you recommend to other entrepreneurs that are kind of making their way?
So I would recommend to any entrepreneurs to, number one, find a problem that you can solve and try to solve it. I see some people start companies, but they're not really sure of how they're going to do it and what they want to do. So I think the research is key. Figure out what your market is, how big it is. And it doesn't have to be big to be successful, right? You just have to find a market and the people that will buy what you're trying to build or sell. Another thing I would tell people is that almost everyone has an idea that's similar to yours. So, I find people who get a little bit offended, and I think that that's easy to get caught in that. I would say focus on what you're doing, build your team, do the research, and just continue to go forward with it. Yes, people have similar ideas, but they don't really know how you're doing yours. They don't know how you're going to build it. And so it's already different because they really don't know. So I think that that's something that I've had to tell people. I would say that networking is key. Continue to network with people, continue to build relationships. And you're going to have some tough skin because you're going to get a lot of rejections. It doesn't mean that you have a bad idea. It doesn't mean anything bad necessarily. It just may not be that you're at the right moment in time. At times I applied to programs that weren't ready for me, and then now they are. And so coming full circle, you just realize that that's just a part of the process. Another thing I would say is that, you know, um, have fun with it. I think sometimes I find myself being so inundated in the product or the fundraising that, sometimes I feel like I'm exhausting myself, and I shouldn't feel that way all the time, right? And so I just want people to know that entrepreneurship is a field where you're going to have to be persistent. You're going to have some thick skin, and you're going to have to be able to go without some things and sacrifice some things. And so if you're not willing to do that, then, just step away from it and think on it a little bit longer. But it's definitely a field where it requires a lot of sacrifice and commitment.
So actually, it's really interesting. We did a podcast with Nick D'Onofrio. Nick is the chairman of my board. Mm-hmm. And he was with number 2 at IBM for 45 years. And one of the first things out of his mouth when I was asking him about, entrepreneurship and learnings is solve a problem. So that's the first thing that you said.
Problem.
Yeah. And I wanted to, so you said, find a problem that you can solve, do your research, make sure that there is a problem, build your team, everybody probably has a similar idea, but focus on what you're doing, your idea. Be
Mhm.
tenacious, be persistent, try again.
Yes.
Networking is key. Build relationships, have tough skin, have
Mhm.
fun with it, and just realize that there's going to be sacrifice. So you have to be committed
Yeah.
and passionate. I mean, Brandon, your passion comes out.
Yes.
Um,
And the passion is in the persistence, I think, right? Because you can easily get turned off and discouraged, and you have to have some deep innate passion of what you're doing and believing that it's something of value and that it's going to work at some point. And I think we all have our passions, but when you get into your passion in entrepreneurship, that's when it's really tested, right?
yes.
Because ones don't necessarily come when you need them to, or that video may not go viral when you think it will. So what are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
So you have to have you have to have that passion to get you through maybe several years of not even bringing in any earnings, right? Or, maybe 6 months of not even being able to build your product, but you may
Yeah.
feel like you're missing out. And so that's why I think that passion carries you a long way.
And I'll mention something I observe about you, and I think is special about you. Um, you're extremely open. So going back to your point on uh, don't get offended.
Yes.
I think it's really important. This is again an observation I made about you. Um, you know, if you do get offended, you could really um, burn bridges.
Yeah.
And I think your point on building relationships, regardless if someone says no, or is taking longer than you think they should,
Mhm.
um, going out, making a negative comment or something along those lines is just
Yeah.
not useful, right?
Yeah.
But you're not like that. So that's being open is a trait that you have in spades, and I think it's one of the most important features for an entrepreneur.
Yes, and I've had to learn that. I've learned that from my personal challenges too. That's something that, being more vulnerable at times, around your family and your friends, because as an entrepreneur, you can bottle all of that up, and that's not necessarily healthy. And so, who can I go to, and how open can I be to really tell these people I need help, or it's not going well right now? And a lot of times, I think just in general, we have that pride where we don't want people to know that, and that's something that I've had to work on as an entrepreneur so that people can really know that, hey, I really am passionate about this, and it's not really where it is right now, but I'm still working on it. And there's some things that I want to ask you about. There's some things I may need help on, which, asking for perspective. And I think when you mentioned burning bridges, based on, people not being able to deliver on time, that's part of the entrepreneurship process. Everything does not necessarily deliver on time. No matter how much you try to like make it like, oh, well, we have another day, we got to extend it or something like that. And so when you just understand that that's kind of how things work in operations, because you're in this field of uncertainty, it's like white space as you build your product, then you understand that that kind of comes with the territory. And so it helps you not be easily offended. Now, there are some things that people may do or say that can be offensive, but you still have to be able to navigate around that. But I'll be honest with you, in all of my experience so far, it's been people have been basically respectful and they've been supportive. Some of them may not have been interested, but that doesn't mean that that's not offensive. That's just, they're just not interested.
Yeah. Well, I think you're very diplomatic. When I've seen you interact with people,
Mhm.
um, you think carefully about what they're saying, and you actually see through the fact that they are trying to be helpful.
Helpful.
And so, what are your plans going forward? What's going to happen next with you, Brandon?
So, this crowdfunding campaign is big for us. We're trying to raise more funds to continue to build. Um, so, based on how much we raise, we're still going to continue to build ROOG. So our next phase is to really add some features that are going to enhance the user experience. That's our next goal. So we'll be working on that. We have our product roadmap ready. We're working on producing more content. So we have our Launchpad series where we interview entrepreneurs and we highlight their business and products. Recently, we did an interview with Masako May, who's a life coach, and she was part of the Bunker Labs program. And so and it goes back to how these programs, you can still reach back and find those business owners and connect with them. So I plan on doing that. And then, like I said earlier, I plan to travel to other cities. So hopefully what I plan to do is create more content as I travel and visit and meet with business owners and their businesses. And we're just going to continue to build. We want to enact a more aggressive marketing and sales approach. So within the next 6 months to a year, that's another goal of ours, is to really push ROOG heavy, really push it hard and get it out there.
So two questions. One is, if someone wants to participate in your lunch learning sessions, how would they participate?
So if they want to participate in there, they can message me on any of our social media platforms, or they can email me at Brandon, BRANDON, at ROOG, ROOG.co. Or they can go to our website and they can just send us a message and let us know. Most of the highlights have been on Instagram on our live, so you can message me there as well. But any way that you can contact me via email, social media, our website, and we'll respond and we'll schedule it. Once I do connect with you via email, I have a link in my email that allows you to schedule your time for the interview, and then I'll send the questions out to the person who will be doing the interview.
Well, how do people listen in on it?
So right now they can listen in on IG Live, and we're downloading those to post on our other platforms as well, such as Facebook. And then very soon, based on our time and our personnel and the people we can get on, we want to convert it to a podcast as well. But right now we're just doing the IG Live, with so it's live, and then people can go back and look at the video over time on our IG. We have over 800 followers there, so that's our largest following so far. They're all organic, and so
Nice.
good way to drive. Yeah, it's a good
Very
way.
good. Wow, that's excellent, Brandon. So can any minority-owned business be part of your platform?
Yeah, so basically, any minority-owned business can be part of the platform because it really is a search engine for minority-owned businesses. It's a directory. I would say that the businesses that we have been focusing on are either selling products or professional services, or they're either a food truck or a pop-up shop, or they could be a seasonal business. Like, here in Texas, since it's so hot, we have the icy. You can go get the ice, flavored ice and things like that. You don't really find those in the winter, right?
No.
So yeah. So yeah, that's basically it.
And so just to wrap up today, is there anything else that you'd like to leave with entrepreneurs or investors?
Yes. To entrepreneurs, be persistent, stick with it. It's okay to pivot if your idea isn't what you thought it would be. And then to the investors, you know, look us up. There are a few of us out here who are trying to help small businesses in Black communities and minority communities, and just in general. And I think this is a really good time to invest in these platforms, these digital platforms, because they will really help usher in what many small and minority businesses have struggled with, and that's adapting to the digital age that's coming about. And so our technologies that we're building are going to help them with that, and it's going to help expedite that. And I think in the long run, as we see how the job market is changing, how people aren't really wanting to work here or they're comfortable working at home, we will be able to create jobs, new jobs for people, whether they're working from home or they're helping with support or anything like that. And so I think for investors, invest in us. Go to ignitesocialimpact.com. Reserve. You can invest as little as $100, and you can, if you want to write a bigger check, we're definitely open to that as well. But support us. For minority entrepreneurs and particularly Black entrepreneurs, we've received less than 1% of VC funding, right? And that just shows you that there's still a disparity in
Yes.
trying to solve the problem, right? And so you have people out here who want to do right by it. You have people out here who want to build something that will help people. But we definitely need some help. We need some help. And the funding helps. And I know the relationships are good, the networks are good, but the funding allows us to hire people. It allows us to pay for the development. It allows us to build that product faster and get it out to the market. And so that's my message to investors would be to check us out. And if you're definitely interested in what we're doing, you like it, invest in us. Entrepreneurs, keep it up, keep doing what you're doing. There's a lot of opportunity out there. And just understand that, things are always changing. And so no matter what you're building, you're going to have to be ready to pivot. You're going to have to be able to respond to the changing markets. For example, like COVID, many of us had different concepts, but once COVID hit, things changed. I mean, even Zoom right now we're using, right? I don't think they expected, that to happen and to drive their company into a new phase of development.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of opportunity out there. There still is. So I encourage entrepreneurs to just be persistent, stay on your grind, and just make sure it's your passion as well. And then investors the same, but be passionate about investing in us.
Well, Brandon, it's always such a pleasure to have a conversation with you, and I'm
Always.
all the very best with ROUGE. I know you're going to do well, exceedingly well.
Thank you, Rosemary. I appreciate that. And I really appreciate what you all have done for us, and I know the other startups as well. You've been very helpful in getting us through. We've learned a lot through you all. Pushing us to get through this process and these campaigns and everything. So it's invaluable. It's just so helpful. I don't even know if I can put a value on it at this point. Maybe after the fundraising campaign.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, just have a great weekend and happy
15th.
day. Yes.
Yes, yes. And I'll keep you posted. I'll let you know when we post the information that announcing the crowdfunding campaign as well.
Excellent. Yes, yes, yes. We'll put it in the notes as well.
Okay.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you.